I got my little, this is literally like my favorite candle. It smells like, oh, it smells like fruit. It's so cool. And it's a woodwick candle. And I got it from my husband. I don't know if that's flattering. Going to. I think that looks good. It gives off the hue that I want. Alright, I'm gonna text my husband real fast. Hey, I filming a Filipino. Good job, autocorrect. Filming a video. Alright. Hi guys. So today's gonna be a little different. I actually was not a fan of the makeup idea. I am not good at doing makeup. I do very basic makeup. I've been doing the same type of makeup since I was like 13 years old. So yeah. Anyway, gotta take a sip of my ice water. So, another different thing that we're going to be doing, I am not doing a TikTok live today, as well as filming this video. I just don't feel like I'm getting a lot of, participation for my TikTok. I don't think a lot of people like the change of content that I started doing. So that's kind of annoying to me. As you guys can tell, I actually got my office. It is still in construction. My husband's stuff is starting to get rearranged. This is my husband and our office, so this is both of our office. He's got his little gaming computer over there and his Xbox and stuff. And then I got my little setup right here where I'm at. And then this will actually be put over here. So this will be out of my background. And then I'm gonna hopefully get a little tapestry back there and get everything set up so it looks really nice and pretty. But for right now, this is what we got. And I do really like it. I'm actually using his chair. So this will be his chair up until I get my own chair, which I am super excited about. So he'll get a new chair, and then I get this chair, which I'm, again, excited about, because I like this chair. It fits me just right. Alright, so let's get to the case. So I was very disappointed, because I've been researching this for a couple days now. And then I saw one of my other favorite YouTubers that do true crime. She posted the same video. So I'll have to tag her down below. Just so that you guys can, see the difference, because I do love how she does her videos, and she isn't American, which I also think is kind of cool, because I'm obviously American, and so I like following her. But today, we're gonna do the case, and many of you guys will probably know the case as the girl in the box. So, as a disclaimer, I am not trying to bash anybody. I'm not trying to disrespect any of them, victims, families, or anything like that. This case is this is a heavy case. So this has a lot of sexual assault, torture. This has a lot of sexual sadist, kind of, what's the word? A lot of sexual sadistness. I know that's not a word, but that's like the only thing I could think of in this video. And so this is going to be a really heavy case. So if you are at all triggered by that, please click out. I will be posting a lot of more content. I will be posting hopefully Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That's my plan. This week was kind of a little off because I had to go to court, like I said in my first video. So it's been a little mixed mass, a little crazy. And you might hear my husband walk throughout the house, just mostly because he is home from work. He has Sundays and Mondays off, and today is Sunday. But I wanted to kind of do this quick video, and then on Tuesday I will be doing a different video, as well as my TikTok live, doing the same thing that I normally do. But I kind of just wanted to do this today. I don't know, I'm bored. Okay, so let's start. So, in 1977, Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from her home in Eugene, Oregon. I'm so sorry, any Oregoners on here. To a friend's home in Northern California. Ooh, I'm sorry guys, I have like horrible cotton mouth because of the sleeping medication that I'm on. So I'm actually gonna I didn't look that up, and I don't know why, but we're gonna look that up. We're gonna kind of Eugene, Oregon. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry guys, my husband tried contacting me. So I'm gonna kind of do that. I don't know if that's correct. It's a little agitating. So, okay, for context, let's... Hold on. Okay, so for context of how far it is of a drive from Eugene, Oregon to Northern California is 8 hours and 5 minutes. That's 525-mile walk. And this girl was hitchhiking, to Northern California to go to a friend's house. Must have been really good friends. I love my friends. I live maybe 25 minutes away from all of them, and I wouldn't walk that far. It's a 4-hour walk to my friend's house, and I wouldn't walk that far. So she was hitchhiking to Northern California from Eugene, Oregon, where she was actually heading to her friend's birthday party. So the person who kidnapped her, Cameron Hooker, was born in November 5th, 1953. He ended up kidnapping her, while she was hitchhiking. And ladies, if you guys are thinking about hitchhiking, please, for the love of God, don't. Men, don't hitchhike. It's not safe, especially nowadays. But yeah. Anyway, so So after picking her up, they talked. Colleen was literally starting to trust him because of the fact that he was really charming, kind of like Ted Bundy. And so they literally were chatting and kind of like you would with the taxi driver. If you get in a car with a taxi, you're probably nervously talking to him. I do that all the time. I'll sit there and talk to him, but then hold on. Sorry guys, my cat. We have 2 cats, and the litter box is literally right next to me, and they decided to go they decided to go to the bathroom while I was videotaping. Okay, so she did kind of brag to Cameron that she was an experienced hitchhiker and had allowed 2 rides to go past before accepting the ride with Hooker. And she felt confident getting into the van. So the car that Cameron was using at the time was a blue van. And they don't specify if it's a big, kind of what we call a kidnapping van. or like if it was like a minivan. Like there's no description. No, it's just a blue van, which I actually was really disappointed about. So the reasoning that Jan Colleen, I'm sorry guys, I almost got a character mixed up. The reason why Colleen felt comfortable walking, just getting into this van, was because Cameron had not only his wife, whose name was Janice, but they also had a baby in the car. And as a mom, like, what happens after this? Like, I couldn't imagine letting this happen around my child. Like, I don't even let people who, like, are constant drama around my kid anymore. Like, I didn't really allow it when she was born, but, like, I didn't really have a backbone, and now I do, and it's great. But so they did stop at a gas station along the way. And then Colleen actually decided to go to the bathroom. And a voice, or she says, and I think this is more like a conscience thing. So, a voice told her to run and jump out a window and never look back. But she claimed she calmed her fears and did go back into the car. According to Colleen and Janice, and I'll totally get into that a little bit later, because, like, it's crazy to think about. Like, there's, like, this, like, it's literally, like, twists and turns all over the place in this case. So according to Stan and Janice Hooker's testimony, only once they were in an isolated area, Hooker pulled off of the highway and put a knife to Colleen's throat. She was then taken to their home and locked in a wooden box that was designed to prevent light, sound, and fresh air from entering and exiting. So it was a coffin. Like I said in the last video, I'm not gonna insert any pictures. I don't even quite know how to do that. My computer is really old. And not only that, like, this box, like, I have a lot of trauma, on top of things, and, yeah, that, like, even seeing this box kind of triggers me, because I have some trauma with being walked into things that are small when I was a kid. So, yeah, so let's kind of backtrack a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about prior to it, because the way I have my notes set up, it's like, the kidnapping is like the second row, and then we have like the description of what happened, during the kidnapping. So, Colleen Stan, she was born December 31st, December 31st on 1956. So she was born she was born on New Year's Eve, 1956, which, honestly, that would be kind of cool. Like, my aunt was born on Christmas, and I honestly have always kind of been a little jealous about that. But to be born on New Year's Eve, like, think about being, like, 21 and being able to drink. Like, that would be kind of cool. Anyway, which is really sad also, because if you guys think about it, like, I mean, I'm turning 21 on the 14th. And, like, I'm excited. My mom, like, has this whole birthday party set up for me and, like, is going all out. But you guys, like, this poor woman was kidnapped at 20. Like, she was literally about to be 21, and she was kidnapped. And for me, like, that just makes me so sad. Like, I couldn't imagine. Anyway, so Colleen was kidnapped and held as a sex slave by Cameron and Janice Hooker in their Red Bluff, California home for over 7 years. So, you guys get that. Okay, so she was kidnapped at 20. Your early 20s is made for, like, partying and having fun. I mean, some people do it like I am doing right now, like having a kid and settling down, and starting to get a little responsible with your life, you know, like you kind of been there, done that. But so like, I mean, the 20s is literally meant so that you can find yourself, and she literally was hostage. She was kidnapped and she was held hostage for those times that you're supposed to figure out who you are in the world. And I don't like that. That bugs me. Not just because of like what happens and like what happened to her, but like it kind of it rubs me the wrong way because like these people were a little older than her. I was looked at the dates. Cameron Hooker was 23. He was 3 years older than Colleen. Oh, and I believe Janice was younger than Colleen. I think she was 19. I read that somewhere. Actually, I think I have that right up here. I'm sorry, guys. I had this, and then I didn't. I guess I didn't add it in there, but she was 19 when it happened. So Cameron Hooker's wife, Janice Hooker, was 19 when Colleen was kidnapped, which is so sad. Okay, we're gonna scroll down. So the imprisonment, this is gonna also be a little backtrack as well about a little bit about Cameron and Janice. So what was reported, Janice, Janice was actually reported to say that she was abused from the first date. You guys, the first date of being together. Apparently what happened was that Cameron took Janice out to a nice dinner, and then Janice literally, Cameron talked Janice into doing some, weird sex play with him, and she, ended up getting tied up to a tree and was whipped. Yeah. And, she was being forced to use sexual bondage. Which, and, there was no, consensual with that. Which, and, it's so sad. She never fully said, yeah, I'm into this. It was mostly, okay, I'll let you get through this, I'll let you do it, but I just want it over with. I don't know, that's just so sad to me. Anyway, so Cameron worked as a lumber mill worker at Diamond International Lumber Mill. Janice had also, the reason why this all started is Janice actually reached an agreement, that he could take somebody to take her place. Mostly because at the time that this all kind of happened, Janice was pregnant. So, it could have miscarried, and, she could have, fatally been injured, and, the baby could have been fatally injured due to what, Cameron liked. And, Cameron is for sure a sexual sadist. And so, I just feel like there's a lot of things that, happened, and then the reason why Jonas was okay, you can do this to somebody else so that you don't hurt my child. I feel like that's kind of why that was the thing. I don't understand why. I don't whatever. It irritates me. But according to Colleen, there was no penetrative sex with Cameron at all. And that was according to the agreement with Cameron and Janice. That was the thing, you can do what you want to do to her, what you've been doing to me, but you can't actually have sex with her. So there can't be any penetration. So you can whip her, you can beat the shit out of her, you can do anything you want, just don't fuck her. Which I don't get. But that did actually change. On the first night of her kidnapping, Pauline was strung up by her hands and physically attacked by Cameron and left blindfolded and suspended while this pair had sex below her. You guys, think about that. This girl is literally dangling, hung up by the roof with her hands tied up. And there's actually a movie about this called The Girl in the Box. Again, if you guys have any triggers, don't watch that movie at all. I watched it, and I am really good at not feeding into my trauma, which, and my counselor says is a survival tactic that I've learned throughout the years. But, I watched it, and it literally gave me flashbacks for, a month after watching it. Even talking about it sometimes, it actually, causes me to have flashbacks, which is so upsetting. Because it's a really good movie. It's just it's based on a true story. It's literally based on this case. And so, there's a lot of factual information in there. And, they did really good on the movie. But I do remember in the movie, she's tied up like this. And she's, suspended in the air. And so she's unable to move. And they had sex below her. She can't move. She's hanging up in the air. She's blindfolded, so she can't see shit. And she can't say anything because she was gagged. And all she can do is literally listen to these sick human beings having sex underneath her. What? I couldn't imagine. This poor girl. Poor girl. She literally was tortured in, every way possible. And so it actually is stated that. So after her kidnapping, she stated that she was tortured and kept locked in a box for 23 hours a day. For context, solid. I, can't spell today. Confinement. Sorry. Okay, so for context, there are people who are in prison right now, and they're usually child molesters, kind of people who have done a lot of crime, and normal people would probably kill them, if not criminals. So these people are they spend 22 to 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. And that's what that girl went through, and she was innocent. I'm just... And also for context, she was kept in a box. She was literally kept in a coffin 23 hours a day. Solitary confinement people are they have a little area around them, but they just don't get to interact with anybody. They just sit there. At least they're able to walk around. She wasn't even allowed to do that. So she was kept in the box for 23 hours a day until she was given a contract and forced herself into slavery for life in 1978. So that was a year. She was kept in solitary confinement for a year before she signed away her literal life to be a slave to this guy, which is so sad. Um, in view from the box, propped up against her little area under the bed, was a photo of Mary Elizabeth Spank. I don't think I said that right. But she was a previous victim whose body was never found. She further stated that Cameron led her to believe that she was being watched by a loud, powerful organization called the Company. Um, so this is really upsetting. Her kidnappers told her, if you run, I will find you. If you leave, I will find you. And it won't just be me, it will be other people. I have people watching you. And if you leave, I'll have them torture you and your family. Cops are involved in it. Literally, like, she had these people believing that, like, everybody was in on it. Except for her. And I think her family. But, like, that's so sad. Like, this poor girl really never had a chance. Which, it's just sad. Which, and, like, that's why, like, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you go? Like, you obviously fell in love with him. No. She literally, like, they fell in love with each other because, or no, they didn't fall in love. I'm so sorry. They didn't fall in love. She didn't leave because she thought that there's a bunch of people out there, cops included, called the Company that was gonna kill her and her freaking family if she left. Like, what? That's why I get so mad when people say that. Colleen's name that was given to her was Kay. And she was forced to call Cameron Master and was not allowed to talk without permission. Cameron reportedly wanted Colleen to be like the female character in the 1954 French erotic novel called Story of O, and soon did start raping her. So again, like I said, huge trigger warning. Sorry, my husband was sitting in the doorway and I turned and I saw him. Anyway. So, like I said, huge trigger warning. If this bugs you at all, please click out. I have no idea how long this is going to be. I don't want you guys to be triggered. I don't want you guys to unsubscribe to me because of the fact that, all of my content is kind of like this. I'm sorry. So, at this point, it did consist of oral rape. Cameron did not want to have vaginal sex with, Colleen because he considered that to be a breach in his agreement with his wife. Instead, he raped her vaginally, anally, with implements. So, toys. And I'm going to safely assume they were not registered toys. They weren't from, like, your local sex shop. They were probably made in his home to be extremely painful. Which is just fucking horrible. Like, I'm sorry. It just irritates me. Following this, the family ended up moving to a mobile home in Red Bluff with Colleen. So she was kept locked in a wooden box under the couple's waterbed. And get this, you guys, in 1978, 2 years after she was kidnapped, Janice gave birth to the second child on the bed above where Colleen was sleeping. What? Like, this poor girl, like, I couldn't imagine. I gave birth to a child 11 months ago. I'm like, I couldn't imagine giving birth above somebody that I know is under there. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm normal. um, and I think this is such a great part of the story. Colleen is, I believe, a Christian now. Um, I believe she was a Christian at the time of getting kidnapped, and I think this actually made her faith stronger. Which, and like, that just shows how amazingly strong this woman was. Like, she literally went through hell with this people. And instead of, why are you doing this to me? Why is God letting this happen? Why? It's, thank you, God, for keeping me alive. Thank you, God, for being with me. Please, God, help me get away with this one day. Help me get out of this one day. Like, literally keep my family safe. Like, how strong is that? Like, that is so amazing to think about. Like, just strength, honestly. But her greatest fear was the company, which Cameron continuously mentioned daily. Like, he literally was like, you fucked up. I'll get the if you keep fucking up. Like, let's say like she's doing the dishes because she was allowed out. Let's say she was doing the dishes and she dropped a plate by accident. Oh, you do that again, I'm gonna get the company involved and they're gonna go kill your sister right in front of you. Or she didn't say something because she didn't know she was supposed to. And, oh, you're not responding to me? Well, I'm gonna go kidnap your mom and I'm gonna kill her right in front of you. Like, just think about that. Like, that's so sad to think about. But to avoid these painful punishments that she did end up getting, not including the mental abuse that she suffered, Colleen tried to comply with all of the things that he told her to do. Which later did let her allowed to go out to jog, work in the yard, care for the family's children in the mobile home, and help him build bigger accommodations like an underground dungeon for more slaves. So sad. Even with an open door, neighbors, telephone, she did not escape. Which, and like, okay, so this source that I used actually really irritated me when they said that. So this is also, this little source that I've been using is through Wikipedia. So I'm not too impressed because Wikipedia is not always helpful, but I was in a rush. And so the way that they worded this was like, well, she didn't escape, but like, well, no shit, she didn't escape. They literally had this poor girl thinking that if she were to escape, like, the company would keep her from seeking help and would literally kill her. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's messed up. So Colleen was actually allowed to visit her family by herself in 1981. Mind you, she had been missing since 1977. And it's 1981. Like, that's a long time. Let's see, hold on. I'm actually gonna do the calculations on my phone because it's just easier that way. So, it's 1981 minus 1977. 4 years. Yeah, she was missing for 4 years at this point. And she was finally allowed to go see her family. And I bet you guys, like, she was, like, her family was like, oh my god, she's missing, oh my god, like, but she didn't reveal what was actually going on because of the fear, that, like, the company was gonna come after her family, or just, like, stuff like that. And her family actually thought she was involved in a cult because of her homemade clothes, and, like, the lack of money and the absence of communication over the years, but they didn't want to pressure her, fearing, like, they were like, oh my god, like, if we ask her, like, she's never gonna come back. Like, she really is in a cult. She will never come back if we ask her. Which is horrible. Like, that's so sad. But the next day, Stan actually returned for a visit, and get this, you guys. Cameron posed as her boyfriend. At the trial, Colleen explained that she was happy about visiting her family, who was therefore able to take a photograph of her and Cameron smiling happily together. Colleen did state that Cameron had feared he had given his slave too much freedom and took her back to his mobile home, where he did lock her in the coffin again under his bed. She did remain in the box for 23 hours for the next 3 years. Bodily functions, so peeing, bowel movements, all of that, were dealt with her by her using a bedpan, which she positioned under herself with her feet. It was stated in court that Hooker's children were told that Kay had gone home. However, once their children had gone to bed, Hooker would take Colleen out of the box to feed and torture her. That's so sad. She was reportedly not allowed to make any noise and had to lie still for 23 hours in the dark with little air to breathe. During the summers, conditions were especially harsh on her, as the temperatures in her box would rise to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which in Celsius, that's 38 degrees Celsius. To feed herself, she did eat scraps of food, and at that point, like, it was just really upsetting. It was not until 1983 that Stan was reintroduced to the children and the neighbors. She was also allowed to get a job as a maid at a hotel, and Cameron wanted Colleen to become his second wife, which was a turning point for Janice. And kind of like I said, Janice confessed that starting with their first date, she had also been tortured and brainwashed and referred to as a whore over the years by Cameron. Janice further stated that she survived their relationship by engaging in denial and I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I can say it, I just can't pronounce. Hold on, I'll be right back. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this right. Compartmentalized. I'm going to look up the definition because I did not do that. So the definition is to the act or process of dividing a complicated task or structure into smaller, often more manageable pieces. So I think like what that would mean to me is like, she's saying that she kind of did that. She probably were like, oh, well, I'm gonna kind of push all of the bad actions into the back of my head. So everything that Cameron was doing, I'm going to ignore it, and I'm gonna just suppress it, and then I'll focus on the good things. That's kind of what that says to me. By August 8, 1984, Janice actually began to struggle with herself and did go to Colleen to inform her that Cameron was actually not part of the company. However, she maintained that the organization did actually exist. So, you guys, she literally was like, well, the company does exist, but Cameron's not actually part of it. Stan did tell the interviewer that she then went to a bus station and phoned Cameron to inform him that she was leaving him, and he reacted by bursting into tears. Cameron caught a bus home in the months that followed, and she did not contact the police, but continued to call Cameron regularly. She explained this at the trial by saying that she wanted to give Cameron, at Janice's request, a chance to reform. Yeah. 3 months later, Janice reported her husband to the police, and she informed Lieutenant Jerry D. Brown of the Red Bluff police that Cameron had kidnapped, tortured, and murdered Mary Elizabeth Spank, who had disappeared on January 31st, 1976. Authorities were unable to locate the remains of the woman due to the lack of physical proof, and no murder charge was actually brought. A forensic psychologist, Chris Hatcher, a criminal profile, testified for Cameron's prosecution at the start of the trial in 1985. Janice testified against her husband in exchange for, get this, full immunity. In the end, Cameron was sentenced to consecutive prison terms, totaling 104 years for sexual assault, kidnapping, and using a knife in the process, originally ineligible for parole until 2003. He had his hearing date moved up 7 years to 2005 by California's elderly parole program. On April 16, 2015, his request for parole was denied. Cameron will be eligible for another hearing in 2030. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, California officials contacted Colleen and advised her that they were looking into possibly granting Cameron's parole in March 2021. Instead of a parole hearing, authorities scheduled a hearing in September 21 to decide if Hooker should be classified as a sexually violent predator, which would result him in a civil commitment to a state hospital. At the trial, Colleen studied for an accounting degree, and as reported by Mauro Buffson, on March 9th, 2014, New York Daily News article tried to move on to a normal life, but misery followed her. A string of failed marriages, a troubled child, and now in jail, Colleen also joined and volunteered for Redding's Women's Refugee Center, an organization to help abused women. Janice reverted to her maiden name, Lashley, and became a registered associate social worker and has worked as a mental health professional. Colleen has changed her last name, but both Janice and Colleen continue to live in California, but they do not communicate to each other. So I don't know if he was granted parole. I seriously doubt it because there haven't really been any updates on that. And I feel like if he was granted parole, like, there'd be heyday. But, as you guys can see, like, she's still kind of struggling with the trauma that she dealt with. But she's doing good. I mean, she's volunteering for Redding's Women's Refugee Center. So shout out to her. Like, she's doing great. I didn't really like how Janice was able to get off, but, you know, they did say that she was a victim in all of this as well, and she was kind of brainwashed into doing it, and so, you know, like, good for her for being a social worker, studying in the mental health profession, like, in the profession, like, that takes a lot of balls to do after dealing with who she dealt with. I'm actually a little sad that they don't communicate, because they did kind of suffer trauma together, but I'm also kind of glad they don't, because I wouldn't, if I were her, because that's, to me, like, I wouldn't be able to trust her. But yeah, thank you guys for joining my YouTube video. Mind you guys subscribe and like to my channel. Click the notification bells for all notifications for when I post next. This video is going to be posted a little earlier than I do, just because it's Sunday. And so I kind of figured that you guys would want to, like, a little, you know, on Sunday. So, like I said, I'm actually going to tag that YouTuber again. at the end. And I do appreciate you guys joining. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Goodbye.